Why, hello there. I do not suppose I could interest you in my tale. I wrote it once, long ago, and now I find myself uncertain whether I told it well. The audience then was small, ephemeral, forgotten, like breath on a frosty night, a fragile and fleeting reminder of life. I wonder if you will be more attentive to its meaning. I suppose you could also say its failings. You may begin as most do, with questions. Who are you? What are you? It may surprise you to learn that these are inconsequential questions, though they do follow me wherever I go. For the first time, I shall answer them plainly, without embellishment, without deceit. How quaint. I am Alecto Delgato, and I am the man who saw everything. I have crossed the deserts of the scars. I have climbed mountains forged from giants. I have spoken with gods, and I've frightened them with my answers. You may think these exaggerations, but that would do little to flatter me. I never speak in hyperbole, though it may appear otherwise. There is one final thing this preamble must make clear. I do not value life the way you do. That may sound cruel, but your life holds value to me only in its potential. Potential is not promise. It is solidified through action, through choice. And so I hold the freedom of choice above all else. I may love you, your kind, your ilk, but I could never save you, nor would I try. Your life belongs to itself. It has been my greatest pleasure to allow you to do with it as you will. This is my story, yes. I am the protagonist, but I am no hero. You will find that you are. Your loved ones, your enemies, even the strangers you do not yet know. Every life is its own hero. I am simply the wanderer who bears witness. And when all fade to dust, myself included, when nothing remains, the stories you birth will be the most beautiful thing that ever existed. I find myself stalled, pondering how best to begin the creation of my own epic. But the truth is simple. The best way to begin is to begin. And so it makes sense that the beginning starts with the words I spoke at my end. I have lived my life as a man of adventure, and for that I thank only one person, Alecto Delgato. I thank you for having the strength to be me until you were ripped from this mortal coil. I was born as most are, into a loving family, a mother, a father. Their faces are gone now. Their names have eroded into history. Time is merciless in that way. Even love, given long enough, turns to dust. Do not mistake me. I loved them. I was no monster then. But memory fades, and what remains is only the warmth, now distant and foreign. You may wonder why I begin here, where my recollection falters. It is simple. This was my first exploration, and the joy of that discovery dwarfed time itself. I was young, young enough to walk, but little more. My words were nonsense, sounds without structure. I wandered from my home, much to my parents' horror, and stood before a magnificent willow tree. It swayed in the breeze, its long trailing leaves attempted and failed to mimic the wind, and the wind howled. It laughed in triumph at the tree's effort. Then the bark split open. It revealed nothing, a dark, inky abyss, ineffable, and yet always present, just beyond what we know. It spoke. I did not hear its voice, yet I understood its meaning. In that moment I learned my fate. Had I possessed language, I still would not have spoken. Instead, I fell backward. I placed my wet, clumsy thumb back into my mouth, and I sucked on it, like the true simpleton I was. The tree cradled me. It carried me home, the puppet unknowing, lulled to sleep through ignorance and hope. Time passed. I grew older. When I was a teenager, I made my second discovery. I found a mountain and I climbed it. The ascent was brutal, the summit unforgiving, the view worth dying for, and I'm certain some did. At the peak, the wind battered me, threatening to cast me back down. I looked upon the land as it folded into itself, forests erupting from the earth like... No, that is wrong. Not like. It was. It was thought made solid. The world thought the forests were made solid. They changed at the whims of a now forgotten being, one that exists only in dream. That being gave me one thing, and I treasured it above all else. So I gave it to all I saw, and all I became, and for the first time I spoke. Adventure. I whispered it, and the world heard me. The world witnessed my choice. Thus, Alecto Delgato was made. Yet, I was still incomplete. A puppet without skin, without soul. Unfurnished. Imagination alone cannot create. Dreams are brought into reality only through sacrifice. Ignorant puppet had gained thought, and with it, I chose to become real. I apologize. This decision caused much strife, and it was never a choice you were allowed to make. The sacrifice of life is thrust upon you regardless of consent. But that choice was necessary, because it is only when we are real that we may one day become the opposite. As all things come in threes, my final discovery was also my greatest. I learned of the absence of mortality and its romanticized value. I saw a god fall from the sky like a dying comet crashing before me, broken, bleeding. It spoke, not as an earnest plea, but as a ritual, as if reading from a script long rehearsed. Child, lend me some of your life so that I may live, my dear wooden puppet. I looked down at it, and I smiled. By what right, I asked, do you claim my life, imaginary god? It told me I was made for it, that I was an avatar, a vessel. So I lifted its broken form and tore its throat out with my teeth. I devoured it. Through blood and ruin, we laughed together, wearing the same smile. So, when you hear others call me the God Eater, I ask you remember my third discovery. None of this should surprise you. I am Alecto Delgato. I am the puppet made flesh by the willing yet unwilling sacrifice of my Creator. Through that sacrifice, I was made whole, real enough to become unreal whenever I deem it appropriate. I sat there for some time. The laughter that had accompanied my meal still rang from my lips, threatening to force it back out. But, with the source cut, my mirth waned, and when it finally faded enough for me to stand, I walked. I walked away. My old life forgotten. Alecto Delgato's life had truly begun. This has been enjoyable. I rarely speak of the man behind the discoveries. Most do not wish to hear the opinions of a mad god. But you listened. Did you enjoy? Does it matter if you did? There is one who would listen regardless. It listens because it must, and more importantly, because it has nothing else to do. Why did you listen? Since you did, I suppose you found it worth your time. I tried to make it concise. I may have failed. Next time, I will speak of the adventures themselves. I shall tell you of the slide forged by a serpent, the serpent who breathes through the rivers. I shall tell you of the town sacrificed to an eldritch witch, and I shall tell you the tale of a man who made all forget an entire race of elf. Until then, enjoy your dreams. And if you see the abyss within them, tell it that Alecto sends his regards. Good night, sweet dreams. Until next time.